cop right there. I had to get my shit together, if you know what I mean. I wasn't actually speeding, so the speed limit's 75 and I was going 78. So I guess technically I was speeding, but nothing to be serious about. So Clark and I are currently on a little trip halfway to San Antonio to go pick up Tarl and Marvel. Clark's sleeping in the back seat. I've been driving for about an hour now and probably have about like 15, 20 more minutes, somewhere around there, and then I'm gonna meet up with Tarl, his mom and sister who are driving him there, and then we're gonna come back and at one of the rest stops walk the dogs for a little bit and then head back home. So I thought, well, while I'm driving, I should bring you guys along with me as I typically do, so that you know what I'm up to. I also thought maybe I should talk about Tarl and I and how we are exes yet are still able to live together. I've been wanting to do it in a video for a while, but honestly, you know, it's our personal lives, and putting your personal life out on the internet, while I may not care about some people seeing it, there's still some people that I'm like, I don't want you knowing all my business, you know? But that's the life of a YouTuber, I suppose. So Tarl and I dated for like 6.5 years. We met in 2011. From the time that we met, it was great. Like, we had an amazing conversation. We actually were, well, I guess it wasn't the first time we met, but the first time we had to spend a serious amount of time together was on a drive home from Austin to San Antonio, which is about like an hour and a half, I would say. And he had volunteered to take me back home to San Antonio because he lived there as well and was already going back. And another friend had brought me to Austin the day before. So on the way back, we had an amazing conversation. It wasn't awkward at all, and he knew a lot of the things that I liked at the time. I was really big into Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth, and he knew them, and not many people did at that time. Well, not many people that I knew did. So that was really cool. And we just, I don't know, like all of our conversations, everything was just super easy. And so we just quickly moved into being in a relationship, and it was great. We decided to move to New York a couple years in, and at that time he was working an office job, an HR office job, and loved dogs, so he was kind of like, yeah, let's do it. And when we first started dating, he had already told me he had thought about moving to Brooklyn, so I knew that in the back of my mind that he was open to it. And that honestly, I think gave me a green light, because I knew that that was something I wanted to do at some point in time in the future. So we stopped in Vegas on the way to New York. We lived there for about 6 months with my best friend and her wife. And that was a lot of fun, you know. There was a lot of stress in there because we had completely changed our life. And now my friend and her wife was trying to help us with, because they had a dog walking, pet sitting business. So they were trying to help show us the ropes. And along the way, you know, there was stress because they didn't necessarily always have enough clients, and so money was tight, but they were amazing and they helped us tremendously. So then from there to New York, and we hit the ground running with our business. We had one client lead from a client that we had in Vegas. So that was all we really had to go off of. And we just started hitting the city, going to every dog-friendly building that we could find online. Essentially, we'd talk to the doorman, we would leave our cards, just all kinds of things, leaving our cards and flyers in all kinds of different pet stores, like whatever we possibly could, street signs, like on the corner of street lights. And eventually we got more and more clients. We had to hire people. But the thing was, the bigger we got and the more clients we got, the harder we had to work. We had no days off. It was incredibly stressful for years. Along the way, I got really sick again, and it kind of just shut down completely. I couldn't even talk. So through all of that, long story short, the relationship, the romantic side of Tarl and I's relationship completely died off from all of the stress, from not having vacation times to no work-life balance. We tried in the beginning, we were both really good about reading books. I was studying history, in particular, like for a year I was studying the historic Jesus and all the history of Christianity, and then I went to the history of lots of world religions. Tara was studying the universe, so we could come together at night, not talk about the business as long as nothing major came up that night, and at least have some stimulating conversations about other things. But you know, we really didn't have much time for friends or to really do anything outside of our relationship. So we just became incredibly close, but the romantic side had to suffer because of that. And eventually we both had to come together and, for the sake of our relationship period, take that added stress off of having a romantic relationship as well, and basically just becoming more of, you know, partners in the sense of best friends, roommates, everything else in our life, but just not, you know, boyfriends or husbands or anything in that regard. You know, we were free to date other people, free to try to focus on ourselves again and shake all that stress and negativity off and really try to refine ourselves. So because the relationship died so much in the business time, when we decided, you know, at that point we were going to break up, living together, one was we didn't have much of a choice at the time. We were still in the middle of our lease and we were living in New York, and finding a place in New York is miserable. So we decided, you know, we were going to still keep living at the place we were at, and then eventually when the time came, you know, we would try to get a 2-bedroom. And, you know, sleeping in the same bed and all of that stuff in the beginning wasn't that big of a deal because nothing, you know, nothing can really change from one day to the other. But eventually, you know, we kind of talked about it, and it was like, well, we do need some separation, you know, something to mark, okay, the relationship, as far as the romantic side is over. You know, we need something to change, and that just was the easiest thing to change, was no longer sleeping in the same bed. That process, you know, anybody was free to date or whatever, so I think we both tried to date in that beginning process. Ultimately, Taro met somebody a few months later that he was friends with the entire time we were in New York. So that was really cool because, I mean, they were dating of sorts, so he got to have that. You know, dating was not necessarily my main focus at the time. And then shortly I met Devin, and we also had such a great chemistry and friendship that dating really was able to kind of get put on the back burner because I was having fun. I had 2 great people in my life at that point. I wasn't necessarily seeking anything else, but trying to focus on being a better me. So we ultimately moved, Tara and I moved to a 2-bedroom, and then eventually Devin moved in, and now it's been the 3 of us trekking across America. So I'm very fortunate to have both of them in my life. Living with Taro has never been awkward, has never been weird. Him dating somebody else has never been awkward or weird. Me dating somebody else has never been awkward or weird. We may not always have had the best communication, or still to this day may not always have the best communication, but I think in the regard of our breakup and our friendship thereafter, we communicated pretty well. Ultimately, we just wanted the other person to be happy because we made peace with what had happened between the 2 of us. Now, I think it was hard for our families because we didn't tell them for a little while after it happened, because so many people are so confused by it to begin with, and then to tell your family, yeah, we're still living together, we're fine, like, you know, we obviously cried about it in the moment and were really beat up about it, and you kind of can't help but feel about, you know, in the middle, did we fail? Did we do everything we possibly could? It's not like we didn't go through those things, but we came out the other side okay, and nothing was weird about it. It's actually was always been very helpful because we have the dogs together. So co-parenting is much easier, obviously, when you live together. He knows me, I know him, we're comfortable living with each other, we know each other's habits. You know, it just makes sense. Now that it's been this many years, our friends and family definitely understand and are happy that we've remained close and still great friends. So if you guys have any more questions, let me know in the comments below and I will answer them, because right now I'm kind of drawing a blank. Well, I'm gonna show you a little bit of the dogs.
Who is that? Do you know who that is?
Hey, hey, hey.
Hi, Clark.
Hi, Clark. Clark. Clark.
Down.
Clark. Look.
Hi, puppies. How you feeling?
I'm hurt.
You do you, I'll do me, and let's make the world a better place.